Hello and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I took broken things that I found at the Goodwill Outlet bins and turned them into beautiful new Christmas decor for my home. If you like this kind of content, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel where I do thrifting, decor, and DIY videos. And of course, you can always find me on Instagram at Nicole Mirth Garden. Here we go. Several months ago at the Goodwill Outlet bins, I found this Santa sleigh and I quickly spotted this broken Santa near it. He's missing an arm and a leg. There were also reindeer, but they were smashed to bits, but I knew I could do something with the Santa and the sleigh. So I'm also using some burlap, these bottle brush trees. I actually wound up using just the one lighter green one. And then some little miniatures that look like toys. I found a little rocking animal, a toy soldier, and some teddy bears that were sent to me by a subscriber friend very recently, actually. The first thing I did, which I don't have footage of, was to glue the burlap on the opposite side so I can make a sack out of it by turning it inside out. So that's drying there in front of me, and I'm just trying to figure out how I want everything to be in the sleigh. I was just adjusting the shot for you there. So I decided I wanted Santa to hold the tree and that the sack of toys would hide his arm and his broken leg. I wanted to place him in a spot where I knew he could stand. I'm just kind of turning it around to see which way I want everything to go. It's always, of course, the best thing to do is to plan out your project first. The next thing I did was to turn my burlap sack inside out so that none of the ugly parts would show. And I do want to mention that a great source for burlap is from coffee roasting places. So if you know of a coffee shop that roasts their own beans, and they usually give them away or sell them to you for cheap. And then you can just cut the burlap into strips and use it in your craft projects. But it's a cheap and easy way to get burlap. I glued up the top of my burlap sack to make it look nice and neat. And then the next thing I did was to grab my E6000 and I put some of this on Santa's foot as well as hot glue. And yes, I'm inside wearing my winter coat because it has been so cold. That's the only way that I can stay warm. No, we don't keep our thermostat down, but it's just so cold. So I went ahead and put Santa in the sleigh, but I quickly realized that one leg was not going to do it. That was not giving him a sturdy enough base. So I decided he needed to have a second leg. So I went ahead and grabbed some chopsticks. I love chopsticks. You should definitely keep them in your house. If you order Chinese food and you have extras, don't throw them out. So I took my chopstick and I stuck it all the way up into the body of the figurine, and I measured where it needed to be so that he could stand on it like a wooden leg. And then I took my hot glue and I glued the chopstick up into Santa, and that gave him a second leg to stand on, which would make the project much sturdier in the end. So once Santa had his second leg, I took my E6000 again and my hot glue, and I did the same process to attach that foot, because that's still the main base, onto the sleigh, but then I also glued the wooden leg into the sleigh as well. Once Santa was all glued into the sleigh, I started to add my accessories. So I got my burlap sack, and I knew I wanted it to look from the front like his other arm was around the burlap sack, and that from the back, that his arm was kind of tucked in front of him. So that from either side that you would look at this project, you wouldn't know that he was broken. So I started to just attach everything. I glued the little bottle brush tree to his hand so that it looks like he's holding up the Christmas tree. And I added a little extra E6000 to the wooden leg to just make sure that that was going to be a sturdy base. Then I went ahead and glued in the burlap sack, making sure to cover all of the broken places. which was the whole point of the burlap sack in the first place. In hindsight, I probably should have stuffed his burlap sack with more burlap or some paper or something just to give it a little more shape. But in my project, it turned out fine. But I would recommend, if you do something like this, to stuff that burlap sack. It just makes it a little more sturdy. The last thing to do was to fill the burlap sack with all of the toys that Santa would hand out. So I put in the little teddy bear and the toy soldier and the rocking animal. I say rocking animal. I don't know exactly what it's supposed to be. Is it a donkey? Is it a sheep? I don't really know. But I just used my hot glue to kind of glue those in place. And with a project like this, you just want to make sure it also looks good from behind. So I put a little teddy bear in the back of the sack so that if you're looking at the little sculpture from behind, it also looks good. And the last thing I did here, I was noticing that Santa's leg, his broken leg, was still showing. So I just took a piece of burlap and I just kind of stuck it in with some hot glue just to cover that little bit. And it just looks like the toy sack is kind of wrapping around his leg. And finally, pleased with how it looked, I called this one done. So here's my finished project. I really love how this turned out. And you can see from the back, it doesn't look broken. And from the front, it doesn't look broken. So I don't expect that you'll be able to make this exact project, but I did want to encourage you to look at your broken things that you either find that are broken or that you break, and think about them in a new way and think about how you might be able to reuse them to create something new and beautiful for your home. I hope you've enjoyed seeing how I took this trash and turned it into treasure. I would love for you to join me here on my channel for thrifting, decor, and DIY videos. And I am doing daily videos every day in December. So I will see you tomorrow for another video. Take care. Thanks for watching.